Hello, this is Paige from Mosaic Moments, and this is another design breakdown episode. And in each of these videos, I talk about what is working with this layout, like why is this layout so stunning. So I did bring back another diamond mine design because these dies are amazing, but this layout was a little bit different from the previous diamond mine I showed. It's pretty much the same design. The main difference is I have the 4x5 die size in here and the layering sizes. Plus I use the 3x3 diamond mine with cross. The other one doesn't have a line like this running through it. This is overall a great layout that stands out. So I want to talk about why. So one reason why this layout works so well is it does use an analogous color scheme. An analogous color scheme means you use colors on the color wheel that are right next to each other. In this case, we have orange and then yellow and green. And so I have the yellow as my background, and then I have an orange pattern paper, and then I have my green here, and I'm going to talk about why I chose each one. So I chose yellow. These photos were taken in the summertime, and I thought yellow would be a nice one for summer. So this color specifically is our Pineapple Crush grid paper from Cool Drinks. It's not an overwhelming yellow. It's not overly bright. It's a little bit toned down, so I think that's very helpful. Sometimes the overly bright layouts can seem overwhelming, although they obviously can work in some situations, but I think it works here for a garden layout. And I also have an orange here. And if you notice, it's also not overly bright. So this page, even though it's using yellow and orange, it doesn't feel like it's hurting your eyes, which again, sometimes I may want those overly bright colors, but I really like in this one how they're a bit more toned down. So if you're grabbing a yellow and you feel like it's a bit too much, you could still try an orange over it, but maybe pick an orange that also is not super bright. It's a little more grayed down. It helps that this orange there is that darker orange, but there's also a lighter orange in there that keeps it from being too overwhelming as well. And now I want to talk about why I tied in the green. So I wanted to make these two areas journaling spots. And I really want my journaling to be balanced with the layout. And if you notice, the rest of the photos have a lot of green in them. And so I decided to add a green pattern. It's actually a pattern paper. I could have used cardstock as well. And you can see the pattern paper, though, doesn't really have much of a pattern. It doesn't have a busy pattern or anything to it, so you can see the journaling really well. But basically, that's why I chose green, because I was like, I have green going on in everywhere else, so I'm going to add green here to create balance on my layout. And so I think this helps the journaling not be too distracting. So this is my tip for you if you use journaling is, for me anyway, I prefer it to look balanced. So if you're struggling, if the journaling just seems like it doesn't fit, like sometimes I add journaling and it doesn't fit the layout, I recommend grabbing a color that's this dominant color in your photographs, which I know many times is probably going to be green because we take pictures of a lot of green stuff. Another reason this layout works, I believe, is because of the white cardstock used to make the diamond mine die cuts. It's a nice, crisp, clean color, especially since I have a lot of warmth here. I have the yellow and the orange, right? That can seem very overwhelming. Anytime you have very bright or overwhelming colors, I like to bring in white. Black can work as well in some cases, but I find white, for me, white seems to work more often than black. So I always say, when in doubt, use white. So the white stands out a lot. Obviously, it's very contrasting. Yellow is generally a pretty bright color, and it may be difficult to find a contrasting color for this without seeming overwhelming. So white kind of makes it less overwhelming, but it still looks good. It still looks clean. All the lines are very visible. And the last thing I want to talk about is the chosen photographs. It is important to pick the right photographs for your layout. So obviously this is Diamond Mine. It's a level 3. So I have my 4x5 die cuts here, which provide the largest space of any of the Diamond Mine dies. And of course, this is where I put my portraits. This is a closer up one, and this one I am still in it, but I'm a little bit further away. It still shows a feature. I didn't really want multiple photos of my face closer up, and this one could have probably fit in a smaller space, but because I cropped it in a larger area, you can see that whole fence and you can see where I'm sitting by. So these two spots are great for your people, your close-up shots, your family group shots, or something like that. And then if you want to add photos in here, I recommend something like I did flowers or some other detail. I could have done some landscapes, like photos taken from a distance in this area and these two areas. And then you come over here, and I use the Diamond Mine with the cross, so it makes these spots smaller. So if you wanted a bigger space here, you could use the die without the cross going through the middle. So in these sections, I use more flower photos. I did, in this case, I made sure I picked photos. You can see the flowers are pretty small. So these were taken from further away. A close-up flower could look good in that you could see all the textures from the flowers close up, but I didn't really want to do that for this layout. But since it was a small space, I chose photos where the flowers were kind of far away from the camera, so you could see them a lot more, versus if I had a really close up of a flower, you could see the texture and the ripples on the flower, but you maybe would have a hard time seeing what kind of flowers they were. I really wanted to show that these were roses, and there's some other varieties in other sections of the photos. So something to keep in mind when you're choosing your photographs. And then in the other sections, I chose some photos of areas of this garden that could be cropped. So you could see I have a little dragonfly here. They're pretty small, and I was able to fit this one in here pretty well. I have a statue, so something like this, I would want to take it from further away to make sure it fits. There's little turtles in here. I don't know if you can tell, but so I basically chose photos where something was taken from much further away. I did print these smaller. These were not printed at a full 4x6 size, but even then, you want to make sure when you print them smaller, they're still going to fit in these spaces. And then here's the same thing as well. These are little landscape photos. These were actually printed a full 4x6 when I made this, but it's a landscape shot, and so everything was further away. So just something to keep in mind when you're planning is, obviously your bigger areas are going to fit your close-up photos. And if you don't feel like you have the photos to fill in these sections like this, the key is to have variety. Make sure you're taking vertical and horizontal photos. Make sure you're getting in a variety of distances. This is something I hear when people feel like they can't find the right photos. It's because they didn't have enough variety. So that's the key here with Mosaic Moments layouts to make pages like this one, is take a variety of photographs. Get in those good photo habits. Anyway, that's part of what makes a good page, is having good photo habits. Anyway, I think that's all I have for you today. Thank you so much for watching. Let me know in the comments what you thought about this layout, what stands out to you, anything I missed as well. Anyway, I hope to see you in the next episode.